The song is comprised of songs originally written for my office on Corpus Christi Sunday. This is actually a shorter version of the original song called Earth. This song is the last of the two other very famous songs are also written by St. Thomas Aquinas. One of them is Accompanying and the other one is Accompanying They will be performing in Eucharist. Later on during the congregation, we will be singing the song in Latin and most of them. So we'll join in at that adoration this afternoon. If you have not already gotten the word, that's great. So please grab a seat where
we have few witnesses, individuals who are signed up to give witnesses. And then we have people who take the part of situation of everything in single. Only one you, okay, that's the sign.
I am Ryan from Gabriel King now. When I was first converted, anytime I took the Eucharist, many times I tasted blood, and the fact was very sweet. I noticed the texture was always different. It was sometimes very hard, sometimes very soft. And I'm sure that was his way of telling me I'm here. Right? And after a while, I know that it's not always, it's always different when I go. Like I said, it's a bit soft. Like yesterday when I took it, it tasted like fresh bread. So that's just enough.
Who is the next thing? Please come up.
And we would ask if share this on the podium, on the altar, we put them back and
Please, in Plano. 1 a.m. to 2. And when we moved here, we had nothing around us. So March of last year, I went back to St. Louis. Each time I go back to work, after work, I would go to adoration and just eat it, 1 hour before I go back to my hotel. So March of last year, I said, Lord, this is really a move that you orchestrated. I need somewhere for adoration. I need somewhere to go. I need someone to always be able to meet with you. That's what we're used to. And in July, I have been involved in the kind of evangelization program, Mission 21. So I go to the meeting, and that day I really didn't want to go to the meeting. So I went, sat at the back, people would say, he just waited for the meeting to be over. And they approached me and asked me, would you like to help us in adoration for the heart? And I looked away and said, no, I asked for somewhere to have adoration. I didn't say I want adoration. So ever since we started, and it's been a struggle, and the Lord has really manifested, and the stories of divine healing. People come and just ask to be prayed with, and there's healing, there's manifestation, there's, happiness, there's a lot of things going on that shows Jesus is dead, even though we're still trying to grow it. So he keeps calling me, I'm scared to say, no, I don't want to be like John. I don't want to be swallowed by a fish. So that's my witness, and the thing that keeps me going is Psalm 32 verse 8, where it says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eyes. So I am trusting in him to keep doing that, and I am seeing goodness and benefits of adoration. Please, as you leave, open your hearts to what is trying to tell you about adoration and moving back.
Hi, my name is Karen, and I'm from this parish. I'm a patron of Jesus, and I'm coming to Blessed Sacrament like the Jews like in the morning, so I said between 8 or 9 to 10. And I'm able to be grateful to be myself, being Blessed Sacrament, and sharing with you what I feel with God. Sharing with you, there is no secret or anything that I won't hide. There is no disappointment or disappointment I can't share. There is no flaw or shortcomings that I don't disclose. And there is no goal that will be possible. If I can discuss. That's how it's exactly.
Is that all?
It's slightly better.
Hi, my name is Kathy Tinkler. I'm from St. Louis, Nevada. I'm from St. Louis, Nevada. Better?
Yes.
Sorry. I'm from St. Louis, Nevada. And when I was a little girl, I had a big family who would go to Mass. And every time after communion, my grandmother would cry. Tears would roll down her face, and Mom would be crying. And I asked my dad, I said, Daddy, why does Grandma cry after communion? He said, well, because her very best friend in the whole world died. And he goes again to release life. And he explained a little bit to me about the Eucharist and communion, but always stuck in my mind that my grandmother's best friend did everything he could for her. And I do understand the tears, but not until my own husband died and I was like a child. Did I really understand what Jesus did and what Mary witnessed? So it became very, very personal for me. And then about 3 years ago, I went to sit before the tabernacle
we have but none that you think of this part is going to be complete. And there is our very also we are spreading on organizing this.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. I'm raising two parts. The first part is miracle or miracles. Now you already heard this morning that we need miracles from religious point of view. I'm going to approach it again from a non-religious point of view. Basically, we are living in a very sinful world. A lot of families are broken. More than 50% marriage end in separation. We never have that serious in the history of human race. Now, in the atomic bomb, in 1947 or something, 10,000 people, innocent people have died, and it shocked the whole world. We are going to say we are not going to do that again. However, today, every day, we are killing 140,000 innocent children. More human beings in the world are killed every day than an atomic bomb. Imagine that we are dropping a bomb into the world every day. This is the most urgent thing we have ever seen. Now, when you go, I was in Africa 10 years ago. I stayed there for 4 years in South Africa. In the southern part of Africa, one third of the population, by estimate, have HIV. And if we go on, the so-called sex revolution has changed our world tremendously. So basically, when we are talking about 1/4 of the population of the students have sexually transmitted disease. So if we continue the world like that, what would you say? What would you say if the world continues like that? Humanly speaking, it is hopeless. Humanly speaking. That is why we need miracle. Human beings alone, whatever government, United Nations, whatever, I don't see any way we can save human race. When there is no hope, that's why we need miracle. Then we go back to the miracles. In the Bible's time, the lepers, the blind, and the paralyzed, they're hopeless. Their entire life is hopeless. They had nothing, no hope at all. When they had no hope, what do? What did the lepers do? What did the blind do? They go to Jesus desperately. And what is leprosy anyway? Leprosy now is curable. Okay, it wasn't curable at that time. The bacteria, so you need an antibiotic, you take that, and you are killed. It is killed physically. But the after effect of the damage is forever, because it damages the nerve so that you don't feel pain. And when though you don't feel pain, you hurt yourself. You cut your hands because you don't feel hurt. You burn your hand, you burn your finger, the limbs fall. Because you lose the sense of pain. So when people don't feel the sense of pain, it is in fact very dangerous. Imagine that if you don't ever feel pain, is that good? That means you will not be able to protect yourself. Now, leprosy is not just 2,000 years ago. It is happening now in the soul. The sin of this century It's the loss of sense of sin. Nowadays, people are shameless when they sin. When they sin, they stand up. They don't hide. They stand up, outspoken to sin. And if you're talking against them, then you are guilty of discriminating them. This is the world we have. The blind people cannot see. Today, people reject absolute truth. They think there is no absolute truth. They are more miserable than the blind. The blind cannot see because physically cannot see. But nowadays, people can see that because God gave us a conscience to see the truth. But they consciously tell them there is no truth. So they can do whatever they want. They can have sex, they can have anything, just for pleasure, with anybody. And when you do that, you hurt other people, as well as being hurt by other people. And in that hurt, it is helpless as the paradise. So what are we going to do? 2,000 years ago, those people go to Jesus. They see Jesus desperately. They don't just go. The blind person was calling Jesus so loud that people are telling him to quiet down. And did he quiet down? He shouted even louder. Son of David, have mercy on me. He needs to touch Jesus. Then Jesus touched him, speak to him. Then it changes their entire life. And that is the faith we need to go to Jesus. Then we will have the miracle. So where are we going to look for Jesus? We heard it all morning already. Where is Jesus? Eucharist. I am with you always, to the end of the age, in the Eucharist. But why to the Eucharist? God is everywhere, right? Now you have heard the answer from the philosophy point of view, okay? And I give a common sense of view that we need to go to Jesus desperately. God is everywhere, and so am I and you. Because with the phone, I can call anybody in the world. I can look at the image. I have virtual reality. I can see my family members. Therefore, from today on, you don't need to go home to see your family. You can stay outside. Why do you want to see them? Because you want to see the body, the blood, the flesh, the soul of that person, of your child, your children, your wife, your husband. That's not there unless you go to the Eucharist. It's so that it's the common sense point of view. So when we go to Jesus, the leprosy is everywhere. The blind is everywhere. We have as many leprosy, blindness, and paralytic in the world as before, not less. People reject truth. They turn their eye blind to the truth. People don't feel the sense of sin. And they're so serious that the only way we can cure is to go to Jesus. And that is a miracle we are looking for. So when we go to Jesus, we kill our own blindness, our own helplessness, kill ourselves. So if we start going to Jesus in the Eucharist, everybody in this room will have hope to be cured. How about the rest of the people, our family members? When we go to Jesus in the church, typically, the majority are women. A lot of the husbands are not coming to the church. A lot of your own children are not coming to the church. So what we are going to do? Then we look at what happens. The centurion's servant is paralyzed. Being paralyzed, can he go to Jesus? Can he walk? No. So who goes to Jesus? The master, the centurion, go to Jesus on behalf of his servant. How about the synagogue daughter? She's almost dying. Can she go to Jesus? It is the father who goes to Jesus on behalf of the child. The paralytic. He cannot move at all. It's the friend who goes to Jesus for them. Our children, even our own children, our friends, our relatives, a lot of family members don't come to the Mass. In the United States, only 1/4 of the Catholics attend Sunday Mass. Only 1/4. And a lot of them are not even Catholic. So when we go to Jesus, the miracle will happen to heal them. Therefore, Venerable Fountain Saint says that the holy hour is not just a devotion. Many people are telling me, you go to Jesus, good for you for devotion. That's not only devotion. It is a sharing of the work of redemption. The world is seriously sick. We need to heal the world. When we go to Jesus, we are saving the world, saving the human being from destruction, from harm, from hopelessness. That is why it's so important for us to go to Jesus. That is the only cure for the world that I can see. A lot of politicians have tried to save the world, but they keep arguing. Sometimes they do something right, sometimes they do something more destructive. United Nations was formed to try to say something. And in South Africa, for example, the way that they save the HIV is to give the condom to all the child in the school so that when you walk in the school in South Africa, you may not find tissue paper, but you always find a condom. They thought that will save the children from HIV. They will not. Because people try to help, they are good, they are sincere, they try to help. But in trying to help, they do not recognize the truth. They do not rely on Jesus. So they keep doing the wrong thing. I'm not saying that a lot of people are malicious. No, but when they don't accept the truth of Jesus, they just cannot save the world. And we cannot count on any of them to save the world, except Jesus. So when we go to Jesus, we are sharing the work of redemption. We are saving the world, not just saving people to go to heaven in future, but now right in this earth. Because families are broken down, people are broken down, people are hurting. So we're saving them. When there is no hope, we need miracle. And we already heard that the miracle is not just the miracle by itself, because why are there miracles anyway? Because people do not believe the true presence of Jesus. Therefore, Jesus had to perform a miracle. But there's only the first part of the miracle. The second part, as you heard this morning, is that when they realize that this is truly Jesus, they march out to the street, tell people that this is Jesus, and kneel down, adore Jesus on the street. When they had that much faith, it changes the whole city. So every miracle is followed by an even deeper miracle, as you heard this morning. Now I've finished this part of the talk, and then I'm going to talk to the second part of my talk, to adore Jesus even in the busy life. Before doing that, I am not a theologian background. I studied by making things simple. When I was a child, I had health problems that it was so difficult to study. So that the only way to study is to make everything simple. I'm now, my profession is engineering, science research. My degree is not in theology, but in science. The way I do that is to make everything simple, and I use the same approach when I look at what the church teaches. So for me, I had a very busy life many years ago. Adoration was never in my mind. My experience is only a simple life full of weaknesses. For the majority of my life, being Catholic, from being cradle Catholic, from baptized from birth, I never understand adoration. I even criticized the adoration. I thought that it's taking too much of the activity in the church. So when people criticize, I understand because I was one of them. I was one of them before. But what changed me was that 20 to 30 years ago, St. John Paul II started adoration. If it comes from the Pope, I had to ask why. I thought this is useless. I had better do something else. I never understood it before, but if it comes from the Pope, I cannot deny that this is wrong. I could have ignored it, and I would have raised my whole life like that. But because I asked the question, why does the Pope talk about adoration? Then I begin to ask that question, and slowly, I begin to realize there's something more important that I didn't see. First of all, when my friends asked me to adoration to spend an hour a week, I never gave in for years. But then I tell myself my life is already busy. At that time, I had a full-time job. My wife had a full-time job. We had young children at the time. And having young children is a full-time job. So we have at least 2 jobs. And then we have another part-time job, hobby, having the church on Sunday and other things. So we had two full-time jobs and a part-time job. How am I going to find time for adoration? If I serve the church, I have to selectively use the most efficient way to do it. I cannot participate in everything. That's clear. I have to share something. So in my judgment, if I do something and I can physically see the change immediately, I consider that as useful. And anything after that, not for me. I'm sharing you with my weaknesses, my personal weaknesses. If I teach a class, do a Bible sharing, do a Bible study, play a book, people are changing. You can see that. But then what amazed me, so basically I could not physically imagine I can spend an hour every week. But what shocked me is that when I look at the Pope, he spends 1 hour every day talking about busy. The Pope is so busy, and yet he spends an hour every day in adoration. And who am I telling myself? I'm too busy to do it. Only 1 hour a week. That was 30 years ago. And now you have the second Pope, Benedict, also spends an hour every day. And how about the third one? He also spends an hour. Pope Francis also spends an hour. All these 3 popes are very different in their charism, right? In their gifts are very different. But what is common that all 3 of them, in their very busy schedule, they spend an hour every day doing nothing else. And there has to be a message. Who chooses the Pope anyway? They vote on it, but it's really God to choose the Pope on us. And why does God choose a Pope? 3 popes in a row, spending an hour in adoration, because this world is so sinful. It's hopeless. And God wants to save us. And that is a message that we have to take. And not only the popes. When I reread what the saints do, every saint you see love Jesus desperately, because Jesus, Eucharist, is Jesus. If you don't love Jesus, Eucharist, you don't love Jesus, how can you be a saint? I didn't realize that before. But when I read what the saints do, they all love the Jesus in the Eucharist desperately, because that's the only place where you have the body, blood, and soul, divinity, everything. That began my change in life. And then I looked at, like Mother Teresa, I don't have to go through that. And then St. Faustina says that every time you and I, she saw in the vision, whether it's you and I, spend an hour with Jesus, the ray comes out from the monstrance. We don't see that ourselves, but she saw that in the vision. The ray comes out like the rays of divine mercy. It comes out to envelop our children, our family members, our parishioner, and our relative, and our friends, our colleagues. Many of them are not Catholic. Many of them are rejecting God. But when we go to Jesus like that, we move the heart to heart of Jesus to touch them. So after I look at all these examples, the Pope goes to adoration, and I'm busy with work, but so is Mother Teresa. Her work is so important, and yet the whole community spends an hour every day, at least an hour every day. So my reason of not going to adoration are gone. I have no more excuses. And when I have no more excuses, that scares me. That means I have to do something. Well, I could just leave it alone. But at that time, it just kept reading it. It's as if Jesus continued to invite me in various ways. Invite me in one way, I didn't listen. Another way, in the listen, and then keep on inviting every now and then. And I read more and more about it until I cannot. I had to yield. But at that time, I was still extremely stubborn. I'm telling Jesus, I cannot spend an hour with you every week. But let me try. Just a trial. If it doesn't work, doesn't hurt, I don't come back. Okay? Just let me see. Try a month, 2 months, try. I'm only giving Jesus a trial, a probation. All our thinking is that I was just spending out to see what happened. Because I had no more excuse not to go. So I just tried. I didn't ask for anything. I had the job already. I had children already. I don't need any more to ask. So I didn't even ask for anything. And slowly, over time, it changed the way that I attend Mass. It changed the way I love my family. It changed the way that I serve the church. I don't have time to go through all of them. I changed in many, many different ways that I never knew. If I go back to look at it, I was just like one of those lepers. I didn't know all the serious sickness I had. And I did not even go to Jesus to ask him to cure. I just go to him. That's all. And I don't know what is wrong with me. Don't know the sickness in me. I'm like one of the lepers. So imagine you go to a physician and tell the physician, do something for me. And they ask you, what's wrong? What are you doing? I don't know. What is he going to do? Nothing. But Jesus knows. I didn't ask for. And he healed a lot of the sickness in myself. A lot of these are because of my weaknesses. That I don't have time to go through, but I will just go through how it changed my experience at Mass. Before that, people are interested to do how to start adoration. So 21 years ago, I start my very first hour of probational adoration for an hour. And being assigned by what's that called? Substance or what? No, not substance. Assigned by substance. Okay. I do my homework before I go. I study because there's a science way of doing it. I have to ask people, what do I do in adoration? So I ask people, and I learn two things. First thing is to take the front seat. Why? Why do you want to sit to the front? It is so simple. If you are taking dinner with your family, what do? You sit together, so close together, so you can share with each other. Nowadays, we seldom have enough time to spend with our family because of the busy life. Children, they go to school, and even husband and wife, they work separately. But during the dinner time, at least the time, and you have to be there because you're hungry. And because you're there, you had an hour, almost an hour to share. You are not just sharing the food. You're sharing what happens in your life, the children, what happens in the day, the happiness, the sadness. You're sharing with each other. And that is how we build up the relationship in the family, at least for myself. We need an hour, dinner time every day to share with my family so that I can understand, I can love each other with my family members. Do we have that much time with Jesus? We don't. Most people don't. And talking about that, the way of eating dinner, how do people eat dinner nowadays? One is watching the television. Another one is playing the game. And the third one is on the phone. I'm not going to say who is doing what, okay? And that is why the families are broken. So the first thing is to be close as if we are in the same dinner table sitting together. So I take this front seat. And the second thing that I ask is not to keep checking the time. Why? Why are you not keep checking the time? Now, tonight, if the bishop, okay, or auxiliary bishop, recognize you have a great service to the church, okay, so the bishop wants to honor you tonight by having dinner with you alone with the bishop. He said, do you like that? Are you going to keep looking at the time for the dinner? You don't. So don't do that to Jesus. Then I ask myself, if being assigned by substance, okay, how do I know it is an hour if I don't look at my watch? So I think of a scientific way, okay? Let me say all the prayers I have learned throughout my entire life. There is a lot of prayer to recite. So by praying for so long, it starts taking more than an hour. And after that, I was ready to leave. But before leaving, I had to check it to make sure it is really an hour. Oh no, it was not even 20 minutes. I was shocked. I was shocked because I had been a cradle Catholic. I've been serving the church in so many different ways. Most of the service. I was in youth ministry, everything I had been done before. And yet, being with Jesus, this is the first time I find out I don't have an intimate relationship with Jesus. I don't. If I had a good friend for dinner, is 20 minutes enough? If I'm going to watch a movie, is an hour enough? And if you're watching, what's that called? Super Bowl? I don't know what that's the name. Is an hour enough? But in front of Jesus, 20 minutes feels like an hour. And what is the greatest joy in heaven anyway? Do you want to go to heaven?
Yes.
You do. So what's the greatest joy in heaven?
See God.
To see God, to see Jesus, together with Jesus. And now with Jesus, I have Jesus with me now. 20 minutes is already too long. So if I ever go to heaven in future, what will I do? I will come out, run away in 20 minutes. Sorry, heaven is not for me, I run away. So that is the first time I realized I don't have a relationship with Jesus. All the work I'm doing for the church is just for the sake of doing. People are doing it, so I do it. There's no relationship. So I had to be serious about that. And so I made a decision. I had to learn. And many people told me you learn by just in front of the Blessed Sacrament. And we heard that we supplemented with the books. And I supplemented with people who have spent the time before Jesus and learn from them. Because each time they've learned, they have their hour is written and hear from them. So I learned from them. But I didn't have so many friends like that. 20 more years ago, in my parish at that time, there's not so many people going to adoration. So I asked a few of them, but every individual have their unique way to talk to Jesus, because Jesus has a unique way to talk to. It's a one-to-one, remember this morning? One-to-one communication. I cannot just simply take it without any digesting and just take it from other people. And all the friends I've learned, it's not enough for me at the time. But I realized that there are plenty of friends, brothers and sisters. They are already in front of Jesus in heaven. And on earth, they go to Eucharist so very often with Jesus. And who are they? They are our elder brothers and sisters. And who are they? Who are these elder brothers? They're the saints. They're not that far away. So I begin to read the saints, how they love Jesus. Not just the way, what the things they do. And that perspective changes my way tremendously. Now I skip to the part that in the Mass. Okay. My experience of Mass attendance had changed after adoration. But it's not overnight something that happens like that. When I talk about miracle, for myself, the miracle doesn't come from a spark and then change. It changes gradually that I didn't even know. I only know after I go back. About 8 years after I started adoration, and after 8 years, it's no longer 20 minutes like an hour. Karen told me that when you really fall in love with Jesus, then an hour looks like only 20 minutes. So at that time, I was in front of the Blessed Sacrament, and I remember what Jesus said to Faustina. It's my great delight to unite myself with souls. I bring the gift, full of gift, because of so many sicknesses that need to be healed. His hands are full of gift, yet souls do not even pay any attention to me. They leave me to myself and busy themselves with other things. Oh, how sad I am. The souls do not recognize them. Do I understand that? No, I didn't. I read that before and I still didn't understand. Not only Jesus said to Faustinus, he said to other saints that many people, when they receive Jesus, it hurts him so much as if Jesus is going to passion again. I read that many years ago. And my immediate reaction is that those silly sinners, and they receive Jesus, they hate Jesus so much. But that's not me. So I don't care about it. And I never understand. But after years of adoration, after I had the love of Jesus, when I reread that, I came with a different perspective. I still didn't understand what that means. But the last sentence caught my attention. How sad I am. How sad I am. Jesus is my best friend. If he's sad, what will I do? I want to find out. It's just like your family member, you are good friends. If you had a very good friend and get into trouble, what do you do? If you're a good friend, you care for him or her. And find out, tell me what is troubling you, and see what you can help. So I basically tell Jesus the same thing. I tell Jesus, who is making you sad? What causes you to be hurt? And I tell Jesus, you have to tell me right now, today. If you don't tell me, I'm not going to leave. So you cannot close the church. Now, the first part, I didn't understand because he's talking about people do not pay attention and so on. I had learned about receiving Eucharist from my child. Now, when I was reading Faustina's diary, I was only asking her for one reason. Teach me how to love Jesus in the Eucharist in adoration. That's the only question I asked. I didn't ask her to teach me more. However, she taught me how to receive Jesus at Mass, which I didn't ask. But it was unexpected. I learned how to receive Eucharist as a child. I got first communion as a child. And I was taught that after receiving Eucharist, then I'll kneel down and pray and ask for petitions and thanks, give a say thanks, and so on. And how long does it take to finish all the petitions? They're all good, because it's not just for you, it's for your friends, people lose their job, and so on. They're all good work. But it doesn't take a couple of minutes to finish all the petition. Can you keep talking about petition for more than 2 minutes? Very few people can do that. So after all the petition, all the thanks, I will sit down, and then the Mass will end. I will go home, and I will completely forgotten I have received Jesus. I never think about it for the rest of the day, the rest of the week. And that is what I've been doing for my whole life. So but I did spend some time, I did say thanks. So I was quite at peace. So all of this, I couldn't understand. But at that moment, because Jesus said he was hurt by many people, I don't care why he was hurt. But if he's hurt, I need to know about it. I want to know about it. I desire to know about it. So when I tell Jesus to tell me right away today in the church, then the following story came to my mind. I had a very intimate friend, a buddy friend from childhood. We studied together, we go up together, we play together. Do you have a buddy friend? It's so nice. You cannot talk to other people for anything. If you are hurt, you don't just tell people. When they don't understand you, it hurts you even more. And they may not have time to listen to you. But when you go to your buddy friend, he or she always have the time to listen to you. And will always understand you, will always try to help you. So how great it is to have a friend like that. So we talk about everything. But as we grow up, we move to different cities. We relocate to some other place because of work. So we seldom had the opportunity to see each other, except by taking an airplane. But we are still very good friends. And one day, my good friend took the flight, came all the way to the city where I stay, and come to my house and knock the door. So when I open the door, imagine how happy I am. But then I think about myself. I had that much work to do. I had the children, family to take care of. I had work to take care of. Then I tell my friend, come into my house and sit down for 3 minutes. And after that, I need you to leave my property. I'm too lazy for that. At that moment, I realized in my entire life in the past, each time I received Eucharist, he longed to come here. I never give him more than 3 minutes. So when I read this passage again, I began to understand. Souls do not pay any attention to me. Jesus was talking about me. He was talking to me. They leave me to myself and busy themselves with other things. And it's me again. Oh, how sad I am that I so do not recognize Lord. It is me again. So I tell Jesus, this is the first time I ever understand this passage. It's just like suddenly turn into life. Then I tell Jesus, thank you to tell me and make me understand. You make me understand because I've never given you more than 3 minutes in my entire life in the past. But then I tell Jesus that from now on and to the rest of my life, this time I receive you, I am not going to hurt you again. This is a very small promise I made to Jesus. And I thank you, the Blessed Mother, to give me courage so that I can keep my promise to the end of my life. Commitment is important. That's why when you go to adoration, you just don't go there when you have time because you never have. You have to physically put down your name to be there, the commitment. Because I made a promise to Jesus, it changed my life. I've got to find out. I have promised Jesus, that's a promise. So how am I going to fulfill my promise? Then I start reading Glory, which is still under church investigation. But she also talked to other cases. Other teaching says the same thing. After you receive my divine Son, according to the Blessed Mother, stay on your knee for at least 10 minutes. We talked about 15 minutes this morning, right? At least 10 minutes. I don't know what to do with that long 10 minutes. I have no idea what to do. But at that moment, the simple answer to myself is that if Mother tell me like that, just do it. Because the Bible says that if you love me, you do what I say. To Jesus, to God. And Mary is talking on behalf of Jesus. Because it's good for us. So I do it anyway. So from that time on, after receiving Eucharist, every single Mass, I will spend 10 minutes. And how am I going to spend 10 minutes? Because the Mass isn't that long. So I try to sit closer to the front. So I receive Eucharist earlier. So I have a few more minutes. Still, that's not enough for 10 minutes. So I stay at the end of the Mass. Oh no, that was only 4 minutes. So I stay after the Mass in front of the Blessed Sacrament for the rest of the 10 minutes. If it was only 4 minutes beforehand, I would say 6 minutes. And I have to tell you how weak I am. I'm full of weakness. So after a few times, I was so weak that I didn't want to continue. I was so afraid that people are making fun of me. People do make fun of me. I was so afraid that they're laughing at me. I feel so embarrassed that in my weaknesses, I would certainly give up. But I didn't. Because I remember I told Jesus, from now on to the rest of my life, this time I receive you, I am not going to hurt you again. So no matter how embarrassed, I stay there. And after a few months, that 10 minutes begin to change because it doesn't take you a few minutes to finish all the petition. When there's nothing else to ask for, nothing else to say, that is the time to talk to Jesus, heart to heart. To begin to feel the love of Jesus, to share the suffering of Jesus. When Jesus is not loved by so many people, he first to love people and people ignore him and tell Jesus, I am here for you at least for the 10 minutes. And that was so sweet that it cannot use words to describe. And I would often be in tears in that 10 minutes. Not in tears because of sadness, but in that immense love. At the end of that 10 minutes, I didn't want to go. When you are in that sweet moment of prayer, you don't want to leave. But I had to. Because in daily Mass, I had to go to work. On Sunday Mass, there's a second Mass, third Mass after that. If I don't leave, people will come in and the second Mass will start. And I cannot live in the middle of the Mass unless I stay for another Mass. So I had to go. But still, I can spend 10 minutes. So at the end of the 10 minutes, what do? I just like a friend coming to me. Sorry, I have an appointment today. Come in and let's chat for 10 minutes. At the end of the 10 minutes, tell me where you are staying, which hotel you are staying, what's your telephone, what is your WhatsApp, whatever. When I finish my work, I go to see you, I go to meet you and talk for an hour. And then I realized that is why the church teaches us to spend an hour every week in adoration. So basically, Eucharistic adoration is a continuation of the experience of receiving Eucharist at Mass. But I never understood that before. When you receive Jesus, when your best friend is coming to you, how can you just spend 10 minutes or even 3 minutes or even less than that? So, when people ask me how to do adoration, first thing is to receive Jesus in the Eucharist. With all the love you can, then you will know how to do adoration. Pope Benedict said the Eucharistic adoration is simply the natural consequences of Eucharistic celebration. Why? I never had that in my early life. Go to Mass and enjoy, and that's it. But after the adoration, I changed my experience of receiving Eucharist. I put in all my love to Jesus, at least for that 10 minutes. And with that, I would long for adoration that hour. And conversely, the act of adoration prolong and intensify what takes place in the celebration. If I've never gone to adoration before, I would have with the same person 20 years ago, and Mass is just a Sunday Mass. Just something. It's so taken for granted. So basically, what St. John Paul II said is that there's a communion version, the Mass, and there's a private conversation. They must go together in order the love can be complete. So if I give you an example, like I and my wife married together, we had a communion, a gathering celebration like the sacrament. We invite all the friends to have the marriage sacrament. And an anniversary celebrate with family members together. So we had this communion type of celebration. But we also had a private one-to-one conversation between me and my wife, and I don't want you to hear about it. And the two must go together. If you just have marriage, the communion celebration, But you never had this same private time. Is that not complete? So if you only go to Mass and never spend that private time with Jesus in the Eucharist, that is what happens. And conversely, if I just tell the girl that I love you and we love each other, but we are not going to marry, okay, we are not going to marry. Now some people believe and some people don't. Is that not complete? It is again not complete. So if you only go to adoration, without going to Mass, it's again not complete. They must go together in order for love to be complete. That is the experience myself. I didn't learn this because I did that. I learned it from experience. I leave it that afterwards. When I go back, because I had the adoration, it enriches my experience of Mass. So attending Mass is never before. We are approaching lunchtime. So any very short question. It's between lunch and now, so you don't really want to ask questions.
All right,
Thank you, Anthony, for giving us a talk. So right before lunch, we have 2 announcements. Okay, make that 3 then. So first thing is, if you're on the cleanup